This is Laves-Webb, and I am thrilled to be sitting here with Kalee Gower at the practice, who is our wonderful clinical director and a very dear friend. So, hi, Kalee.
Hi, Lewis.
Hi,
good to be here.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for sitting down with me. I'm looking forward to where we go today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I am too. So we're going to just take some time and let people out there get to know you a little bit more deeply.
Okay.
And like I said, you're a dear friend, so there's so many aspects that I just think so dearly of, and I think you're just a wonderful therapist and just have a fascinating background and really enriching things that you bring in. So I'm excited to let people see some of that and learn a little bit more about you. So let's start. Let me ask you, kind of start with, you've been a therapist. You're basically the longest therapist here at the practice besides myself. Did you always want to be a therapist? Is that?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I think the answer is twofold. There's a yes and a no. Consciously no, but unconsciously yes.
Okay.
I think back to being a highly empathic, sensitive child. I think back to when I was 17 years old and starting my own personal journey and introspection and therapy. And then I think of, various parts of my previous career that, were pointing me in this direction.
Sure.
So I think of it as a calling that eventually revealed itself to me. And so here I am and glad to be here.
Okay, wonderful. And so this is over the course of, your life, basically, that you were from different aspects kind of got pushed in this direction and wound up here. And in terms of some of your own ideas about this work and the way in which you practice, is there anything that you'd like to highlight or that you'd like folks out there to know about how you view this fascinating work?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many different things I'd like to share, so I'll try to consolidate it into a couple of points that I can kind of weave together. Not a lot of people know this about me, but my background, my degree is in women's and gender studies, and so I have some specialized experience, personal, professional, and some training, thinking from a feminist perspective. So that certainly comes into my view as a therapist. And then I've also trained in internal family systems. I'm an IFS level 1 therapist, so that's where we're doing what we might call parts work.
Parts work, okay.
And so just real quick about that, so the idea is that we all have these parts of our personality. Some of those parts are more what we would call protectors or defense mechanisms, and other of those parts are kind of hold our wounds and maybe hold these kind of emotional experiences and emotional knowings. But what I think is really interesting and not often talked about in IFS, or maybe a lot of people don't associate IFS with this idea, but is this concept of the self. So in IFS, there's this idea that underneath our wounds and underneath who we are is this core essence of self. And it is that self that brings healing, that makes healing happen. And it possesses qualities like confidence and courage and clarity. So in therapy, I'm often working with people in identifying moments when they felt that self or accessing that self energy to help heal those wounded parts and maybe liberate them from some of their protective parts or defense mechanisms.
Yeah, I kind of have this image of there's healing waters within each individual that you're working with.
Yeah.
That you're basically helping them drink from.
Yes. And you and I have often talked about, just getting the blocks, the barriers to motivation or change out of the way. And so I very much see it like that. Let's get some of the parts to step back so we can access the sort of sunshine of the self. It's like the clouds moving away and letting the sun shine through.
Absolutely. I love it.
And then I think another big piece of my work and big influence has been studying mindfulness and practicing mindfulness, which is one definition would be the non-judgmental awareness of the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
And many healing modalities bring in mindfulness, whether they call it that or not. And so, with mindfulness, we're learning a way to be in relationship with ourselves, to be open to our experience, to be curious about it, and to have the judgment step back. And from that place, a lot can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really think that if there were more of us who knew how to be mindful, I think it could solve some serious world problems.
I don't disagree.
Mindfulness helps us step out of reactivity and of like being our feelings. Like, I'm angry, here I am moving from that anger to, oh, I'm angry, what can my anger tell me? And
Yeah, what's that about?
Me? Yeah. So I think that's a really big part of my work, and I think my clients regularly experience that in me and experience that in our sessions, and appreciate that about our work.
I love that. Speaking of your own healing waters, so to speak, what how has kind of being a therapist influenced or impacted some of your personal life? Are you personally in ways that you either didn't anticipate or didn't expect when you first kind of signed up to be a therapist?
Oh, I love this question. What comes to mind first is something that we've talked a lot about, which is that becoming a therapist is a fully immersive developmental journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, I think the best therapists really just let it touch you in all the ways. Yeah. And it's a major reorganization internally and sometimes of your external life too.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that. And
Gotcha.
I think overall, I enjoy that, and I love that fringe benefit of our career, all the personal growth.
You thought you were just signing up for a profession?
Some people do, yeah. I did want the personal growth. So that's a big piece that sort of surprises me, though, just how deeply it impacts you as a person.
Yes.
Let's see. The other thing that really comes to mind that surprises me is just how hopeful and inspired I have become doing this work. When I am at the grocery store or somewhere in my life outside of being a therapist, and someone discovers that I'm a therapist, usually one of the first things that people will say is, oh, that must be so awful, that must be so hard to sit with people and all their negative emotions or something like that. And
right.
I have just come to say no, because I sit with people, I'm surrounded by people healing all day, every day. I am surrounded by the incredible change that people are willing to take the risk to go towards.
Absolutely.
And that just fills me with life and vitality. It makes me feel really optimistic about our future. So the hope and the inspiration that really comes from the work has been kind of surprising.
I appreciate it. It's really amazing that that's not the experience. I kind of joked with you earlier about I always say, that sounds like a terrible job. I'm glad I don't have that job, because the experience is very different.
Yeah.
It is really, I've always said, I have nothing but respect for people kind of on that side of the couch, because they're really signing up to heal and grow, and sometimes it's an easier process than others, as you know, but being able to dig in and kind of meet them there, it's so impactful and such a meaningful experience that we get to do. So thank you.
Yeah, it's so special to see people sign up to do something hard that's good for them.
Yeah.
Something that can be hard, or something that can be vulnerable and feel like a healthy risk. That is incredible and so inspiring.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then lastly, let me just kind of leave you with this. What is you've been at the practice for 10 years. Obviously this practice and
has it been that long? Wow.
Almost, yeah. And it's it's just an integral part of our community here in Austin. What are kind of some of your favorite aspects of being at the practice, and some of the things you're most proud of at our practice here?
Oh goodness, the list goes on. The first thing that came to mind was the community. It's really cool to be a part of a community of people who, again, I feel inspired by. we have a really creative group here. And so I love to get together. You know this, I get together in group supervision and I say, let's talk shop. It's fun to hear how other people are thinking about cases and for me to kind of learn from that. And to also share my own thinking about clinical stuff. I've always really valued our culture here and the way that I feel like you have always kind of been one step behind me, just pushing me along. That level of support and also autonomy, I've always really loved about being here. And then, gosh, I'm proud to work with such smart, creative people. I'm proud of our spaces. I'm proud of our orientation. And you spoke in your interview about how we've kind of agreed to keep our practice at a certain level and not to let this practice grow beyond what we can maintain and nourish and really do so with a lot of integrity.
And I think nourish is a great word for it.
So that's kind of where I associate with that question.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you are, foundational to this practice, and it has just been, for me, it's just been an honor every day to be near your wisdom and your wonderful energy around this work, and just being able to be a part of, to work with you and be your friend has just been incredible. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm really looking forward to what lies in store. And thank you for sharing with folks out there a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lewis.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.